Hello and welcome.
To the Delusional Boyfriend Book Club, where if falling in love with your bully is wrong, I don't want to be right. My name's Courtney,
And I'm Wolf.
and we are going to go over our first BL live action of the year. So, this is January 2026 BL live action, My Beautiful Man, and it is actually a light novel adaptation into a manga into a live action. So, you've got a lot. Like a deep well to draw from if you really love this story. You can buy the manga, you can buy the light novels, you can buy the manga spin-off, which is a side couples, and you get to watch the full BL live action, and there's a second season of it. So we watched the first season together, which was 6 episodes.
Yep.
And then the author of the manga is going to be Yu Nagira. So we have a lot of tropes going on in this, but I would say most of the romance tropes you're not very familiar with, right?
I am a toddler when it comes to this whole thing, tropes.
Yes. And so this is your first BL live action. I think you've watched like an episode of Cherry Magic, maybe, but you didn't
Sure.
watch the whole thing, right?
Yeah, I mean I watched the BLs with you sometimes and it's
But as far as like the live actions go, I think I've only watched Semantic Error was my very first one, and then Cherry Magic was my second one, and I don't think I've watched any other live actions. So this journey this year for me is really exciting because the girlies online love the BL live action, maybe even more than they like are crazy in the manhwa space or the manga space. I've really wanted to break into the live action space because they go so hard for these actors. It's kind of like the K-pop girlies. Like once they find actors that they love in BL, whether they're from Thailand or Japan or Korea, they will follow them everywhere. So I was really stoked to get into this. And Wolfgang didn't like initially sign up to watch this with me, but once we got an episode in, you were sold, right?
oh sure. I mean it's a really good story. It's very nice to see people happy.
Yes. And at the end of this, in most romances, they call it an HEA, the happily ever after. And that's part of the trope of romance is that
Okay.
everyone ends up in love. So right now, Wolfgang is reading Berserk, and that's like a classic love triangle going on.
I'm rereading it, but yes.
He's rereading it, but he was just showing me panels of Griffith and Guts. And he's like, oh my gosh, here's the BL that you were talking about inside the story. And I was like, well, it would be BL if there was a happy ever after. Like if there's doomed yaoi and maybe that's the category it fits into. But I'm like, in most of the stories I like to read, there will be a happily ever after. I want to see everyone in love at the end of the day. So our story here is going to be a second chance romance. It's again, the title is My Beautiful Man, and you can find this on Viki Rakuten, which is where most of the BL live action this year is going to be. There's a couple on Gaga. Those are two official websites or official apps that host legally these licensed shows. And of course, all of them are going to be subtitled. There's like no dubbing, I don't think, for any of the stories that we watch this year, which is great because I'm sure that dubbing over a live action is like very hard to watch.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know, but I'm sure I wouldn't like it. So this is going to be subtitled, and you'll be able to find it, like I said, on Viki Rakuten, which is free. I don't think I pay anything for it. I
Okay.
might, I
I
might,
don't think
I don't think I did, but I might pay a little extra for like ad-free watching or having it like the premium app or something like that. So this is 6 episodes, and our tropes are going to be high school romance and college romance. So we've got a campus romance going on. And with that trope, we have second chance romance. So these two do initially find each other in high school. It doesn't work out. They get a second chance in college. So if you like coming of age stories, this is for you. I don't really like coming of age stories or high school stories, but I do like a second chance romance. And the reason being is I don't really like mature content set in high school just because I don't like talk. I don't know. I hate kids. So I hate the teens. I don't like to talk to the teens. So basically, if there is no mature content in the high school scenes, and then we get a second chance romance in college, and then the spicy scenes are in college where everyone's like adults of age, that's pretty ideal for me
okay.
because still a lot of plot, but I don't feel like inappropriate watching like high schoolers date each other, which feels like at 30, you just maybe should move on. And I did just have a great conversation with somebody the other day about coming of age stories, and it's totally valid. If you love those, it's absolutely valid. I met my husband in college, and I do really like college romances because it reminds us of us. So,
That's nice.
isn't that cute? And then our other tropes here are going to be bully, falling in love with your bully. There's going to be hurt comfort. One of the characters is often very rude, mean to the other. And we were kind of talking about those terms yandere and tsundere. And a tsundere is going to be a word for a character who starts off really mean, but inside is very soft and sweet. And once you get to know them, you realize that they do have a lot of emotions, and their meanness was kind of like a wall that they'd built around them. And then yandere is going to be the opposite. So somebody who starts off very sweet and nice and innocent, who ends up being very obsessive and kind of crazy. And we do, I think, have both of those characters. So we've got a kind of stalker romance going on here, where we have a character who wants to be an idol and is very popular with everybody, and then a character who follows him around and idolizes him. And he even calls him stalker, he calls him creepy. So that's going on in this story a lot. And we were talking about how there's like a touch of masochism in here because he doesn't hate being called creepy, and by the end of the story he like actually likes being called creepy and kind of likes being when the other guy is mean to him. So some weirdness there that I like.
I mean,
And
he's a really nice kid with a stutter, and so it's
we haven't gone into character
well, I
introductions, we're
know,
talking about tropes
well, I know, but you're rooting for the guy the whole
the whole
time.
time, even though he is definitely like obsessive in a way that some people would say is a red flag. The other character is rude to him in a way that other people would say is a red flag. So there is kind of they're matching each other's freak in a way.
Okay.
And then the other trope going on here is unrequited love, because of course in high school it doesn't work out for them, so one of them definitely has love for the other and is not returned, which usually upsets me unless it's a second chance romance and they do get their love returned. But this is also Wolf's first interaction with the second love interest, and his, of course, the second love interest love is not requited. So that is hurtful. Twice in the story we see somebody rejected who you don't want rejected.
The call.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was really fun to watch this. I would say the production value on this was incredible, like really well. Here, I'll fix it.
Yeah.
Do you just want it small so you don't look at yourself weird?
Okay, he's heading that way. Yes, he's heading our way.
Okay, that's fine. Let's keep going.
Yeah,
We can get so far through this.
that's
And you can just yes and me if you don't want this to go forever. Okay, ready? Where were we?
no, it's just so I can.
Where were we talking? Okay, I'll just say those are all of our tropes. Ready?
Mhm.
Okay. So those are all of our tropes. As far as like the production value of this, how did you think it looked really nice? Do you think it looked cheap? What were your feelings?
It was really good. I mean, it was really well shot. I thought the story. Am I allowed to talk? The story as a whole, I think, is really. It's well written.
Mm-hmm.
The production value on it is really nice.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the difference is between Japanese or television, but I think
Usually it can be like pretty cheaply produced in these live actions, and this one I felt like looked like American television. Like it was that well.
yeah, no, absolutely. It was really good. It had a really good opening theme to it.
The soundtrack was amazing.
Really, really cute opening theme with little. The theme is like this little rubber duck, and so that was nice. I mean, I thought it was a really nice show, and it was. I think the mood of it is really happy, which I enjoy happy TV.
And then how did you feel about the actors? When you saw the actors at the end, like their actual headshots of them, how did you feel like they embodied their characters? Did you think they were good looking? Did you think that they had good chemistry together? How did you feel about the casting choice here?
I mean, I think it was a good casting choice, but also the actors themselves, their headshots, like they're really good looking dudes. But then like the main dude gets like uglied down a little bit, and you're like, oh wow, he's actually like really. And when you see the headshot versus him, he's actually like a really good looking guy, and you're like, oh wow, it's interesting that they uglied him down. Maybe like they put like makeup like on his cheeks or something like that. I don't know, but it was really interesting to just to see their headshot versus who they are in the thing. And I mean, I think that the casting choice in general was really good, and the main character, what's his name?
So we have our main characters, and they're going to be, I should have looked up the actual actors' names here, but our main characters are going to be Hira and, why can't I say that one? It's so hard.
Kioi.
Joy.
Kioi.
Okay,
But
we're gonna try that again. So the main characters are going to be Hira, who has a stutter when we meet him in high school, and a lot of people call him Stutz in the first couple episodes.
yeah, it's not nice.
It's not nice, but his name is Hira, and then Kiyoi is the other character, and he is very popular. He's new to school, and he wants to be an idol. We find out. So
Yeah, as someone who studied or who stuttered in school, I very much related to Hero. It was very emotional to see someone have a hard time speak, because it's really hard sometimes for people like us that stutter. It's hard.
And it was really sweet because there's other characters who come in and start to like give him some emotional and physical support. And I just thought that it was really well acted and really well represented, and that it was
Absolutely.
probably something that's fundamental to the manga is a stutter and how people treat this character. And I felt like the actor did a good job stuttering and really showing the frustration with not being able to communicate, and also showing, so here our character with the stutter, he is also a photographer because his parents tried to get him to open up and find a hobby if he wasn't going to be able to communicate verbally well with people, so that he could maybe show his passions and his excitement about life in other ways. And he doesn't even really like photography. He takes photos of the environment. He doesn't take photos of people. And he says he only really likes photography because it feels like he gets to cut himself out of the world
He gets to be invisible.
and be invisible. And it's really sad because everyone at school does pick on him. And on the first day of school, he has to go in and say his name in front of the whole class, and he starts stuttering, and it's a disaster. It's a train wreck. He cannot get it to stop, and he can't get his name out. And that's when the new kid walks in, who is gorgeous. And the new kid walks in and introduces himself, and it kind of is this out for Hira to not have this embarrassing moment. And that is how he considers himself like saved by Kiyoi for the first time. He's like, the first time you saved me was in that classroom. And at this moment, he's not even really nice to him. The character who wants to be an idol, he becomes the most popular kid in school and everybody wants to be his friend. So he decides, instead of picking on the kid with the stutter like everyone else does, he's going to manipulate the situation and get him to be his gopher. So he asks him if he will go get them sodas.
That's what a gopher is.
Yeah, you go for a soda. Gopher. That's like, they probably called you a gopher in your first intern job when you would have to just go get everyone coffee.
Sure. I mean, I've never heard that. That's awesome.
Yep.
That's a funny term.
Yep. So he's a gopher. He says, hey, you can get yourself an ice cream with the change. So he's not trying to be super mean. He is obviously aware of the hierarchy of popularity in the school, and he wants to maintain his own position at the top of that hierarchy. So he's not super nice to the kid they all call Stutz, but he does give him extra change to like buy himself a treat. So he's trying to include him in a little way like that. But he is a bully because he doesn't stand up for him when the other kids call him Stutz. He lets them call him that. And he doesn't really call him it himself, but he lets it go on. So you don't love this character right off the bat. You're kind of mad at him for not being nicer to Hira. But Hira's not mad at all. He starts collecting the coins in a beaker that he has left over. So Hira starts collecting those coins that are like the leftover change, and he doesn't buy himself an ice cream, but he says, I want something that'll last a lot longer. So he keeps those coins as his little treasure. And he starts to have this little beaker full of basically every moment that the other guy asked him to go run an errand for him. And then he also starts following him around. So he does see him on his way to like a dance class. And Hira is going to take photos in the park when he sees this. So of course, he's kind of looking like a stalker, but he was there for his own reasons. But then he follows Kiyoi into the dance class and he sees him going so hard in the classroom. He's really impressed with him. Every single time he looks at this man, his eyes have hearts in them. It's all he cares about. It's the first time in his life that he has thought a person was beautiful. And that's one of the things that comes up right from the beginning, is that he doesn't when he walked in that classroom and saved him that day, he thought to himself, that's the most beautiful man I've ever seen. And he goes into that dance studio with his camera with the intention, I think, of taking his photo. So he is definitely living up to his stalker title. And when the other guy sees him, it kind of drags him out of the building and says, you can't tell anybody about this. And he says, well, everyone knows you're doing the idol competition, so why is it this big secret? And he goes, everyone knows I'm doing the competition, but nobody knows I take dance classes or that I take it very seriously. And he asked him what's in his bag. And in his bag, he had a bottle of water and a ginger ale. So obviously he was hoping that they would, have this moment after the dance class, because he already bought him a drink. And that's the drink he's been buying for him the entire time, is ginger ales. Every time he's like a gopher for the other guys, he gets him a ginger ale. So they sit down on the park steps and he starts telling him about his dream of being inside the TV. And that's why he wants to be an idol. And that's why he's doing this competition and these dance classes. And he has a moment where he drinks from the ginger ale, and it's the first time that Hira ever takes a picture of another person. And he takes a picture of him drinking the ginger ale, and the guy kind of snaps at him and calls him a creep and a freak and says, "Never take my picture again." And he also made him promise that he wouldn't tell anyone about the dance classes. And when he did that, he was like, "What if somebody threatened your life, threatened to kill you, and if you didn't tell?" And what does Hira say?
He says, "I die." I think he says, if I threatened to a death, when you told someone what he's like, I would die. I would die if I did that. I'd rather die than tell someone.
Your secret.
Yeah,
And then he thinks to himself, of
bunch
course,
of dramatic high school boys.
very dramatic, but he thinks to himself, I would rather die because having a secret with you is the best thing I could ever have. I would never give this secret away because it's something that we share now. And he also has a photo of him now. So the other guy leaves and Hira goes home, prints out the photo that he has of his face. And I'm sure in the manga this is extremely explicit, but in the show, he prints out the picture of him and he starts to like breathe heavy and he pulls his covers over his head. Right?
Oh, he starts to,
Right? And so there is a very strong implication that is maybe like the first time or the first person who has made him feel like sexual feelings. So he gratifies himself and then
perfect term.
he also feels, I think, and he immediately feels bad about what he's done. And so that character confronts him later on and wants headshots done for his modeling agency or his idol agency. And he says, "You could take my photo, but you can't do anything weird with it." And Hira fully admits, he says, "I've already done something weird with it. Just one time though, and I'm sorry. I feel really bad. I won't do it again. You're a king. I'm a peasant. I don't deserve to look at you like that. I just deserve to follow you around and get treated like shit." And it's very like BDSM me in this way that he is very self-deprecating and it almost doesn't mind the fact that he is placing this other person on a pedestal and that person is not reachable. And of course, this is like a self coping mechanism with the fact that he's always had a stutter and people have rejected him. So if he himself puts himself down here in the dirt and raises this guy up as a god, then he's already pre rejected himself. He's made it impossible to attain this man, which means he can't be rejected. Just like, you can't actually realistically be in a relationship with God or with a king. You wouldn't even try. And so you don't have that chance to get your heart broken. And instead you can be their worshiper. And he does say at one point that he wants to be like a nun to this other character. He wants to devote his life to him with no gratification and no selfish desire back. So it's a very complicated dynamic. It has a lot of hurt in it because we see this character openly tell the handsome, popular kid, "I think you're beautiful." And he says what back to him? "You're creepy."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was like, I don't remember exactly what he said.
Oh, it's over and over
You're, I
again. He
mean,
says, "You're
he says
creepy.
that quite a bit. You're creepy.
You're creepy." So as the story goes on, we see the more popular guy invite his friends over to the other guy's house so that they can all meet
Also,
girls there.
his friend group sucks.
His friend group sucks. And they're clearly not even interested in being friends with the popular guy. And the popular guy can see that. He knows they're using him for his popularity.
Because he brings chicks.
Yep, he brings the chicks around. So he's being used for his popularity and he's using Hira for his house. Hira lives alone. His parents got a job in the city, so he lives all alone. And he welcomes everybody there because he has the chance to have the man he loves in his home.
Mm-hmm.
But then he sees the man he loves around all these girls and it makes him extremely uncomfortable and he doesn't want to be there and he wants to leave. So when someone suggests that they get like things from the grocery store,
They more force than suggest. They say, "Hey, Stutz, go get this from the grocery," which is like super
yes,
super inappropriate for someone to say, like, in this guy's own house. You're
that's
just like,
Wolf.
what's going on here?
Wolf is so mad.
And then he pushes him, and it's like in his own house, and you're like,
not the love interest,
not the love interest, but like this other friend who's in the group who is clearly a dick, like is like bullying this guy the whole time. Comes up with the name Stutz, like pushes him in his own house, tells him to go get like drinks from the store, and it's like, who is this man? This is crazy.
You can see that Hira, the guy with the stutter, he's not exploding now, but he's taking every one of these little microaggressions and it is going to build up to something.
Yeah.
And something that I did not really see coming in this story. There is some like extremely, I don't know, it's very original. So we have that character leaving to go to the store because everyone ordered him to. And he goes by himself, but then who pulls up in the bike but the love interest?
Mhm.
And it's his bully, but he has come to kind of keep him company on this walk. And they start to get to know each other from this point forward in a way that's a lot more intimate, where kind of the popular kid starts to find excuses to leave his jerk friends behind and finds himself more and more on these little walks or what have you with Hira. And he acts like he doesn't want to be there, but he's clearly making an excuse to be alone with him.
Mhm.
And then they start riding a bike together, which is, people say this all the time about Sato Sugu, if you watch Jujutsu Kaisen, that there is an open credit scene where Gojo and Gato are riding on a bike together, and that's illegal in Japan. You're not allowed to do that, but they will make exceptions for couples who are in love because it's so cute. And
Hmm.
so they get stopped as they're riding on this bike together. They
It's
get,
illegal to do two on a
yeah,
single person bike just
hmm
because that's
Japan is
out
strict
out of normal or what?
because it's not safe. And so it's
Oh,
just
okay.
like public safety, like running on the sidewalk
They're
or
smart
something.
people. They
Yes.
don't want accidents.
Exactly. So there's like even a moment where the police officer sees them riding tandem on this bike and he says, "No, two people on a bike." And the popular kid, pedal, pedal. So they're being cutesy with each other in private. In public, they're still not very warm towards each other. People don't understand that they're becoming real friends, right?
Yeah, no, it becomes a nice relationship between the two boys because I mean Hira, that's his name, right?
Yep.
Hira doesn't have any friends, and I mean, like Courtney said, he stutters at the beginning of class trying to say his name, and so everyone automatically puts this kid in a different box and kind of puts him down, and so then he starts to become friends with this love interest, and it's a very nice story because it's nice to see someone have a friend for once.
And his stutter goes away as he gets more comfortable. And
Yeah.
so when he's in these moments with this guy, he's no longer stuttering. And when he does stutter because he's nervous about what he's going to say, the other guy says he's so annoying. And you can tell that his love interest is annoyed because he wants him to be able to speak freely. And it kind of pisses him off when he makes him nervous because he doesn't want actually to make him nervous. He does like it in their private moments when he's able to open up to him. And when he does open up to him, he kind of can't help himself but say, "You're beautiful," and try to snap these photos of him. And so he starts to develop this
No, and
collection,
they have nice moments where they're playing with fireworks, they're hanging out at the house reading, just kind of.
spraying each other with water,
I
cutesy,
mean,
flirty
yeah,
things.
no, like moments that are just nice as young people that they're hanging out and they're
Wholesome.
yeah they're whole
It was
exactly
very wholesome
wholesome.
moments, and there are moments that I would say are also, like, romantic, like, they especially we don't think at this point that the popular kid is returning his affections, but for the other guy, at least, they are romantic moments, and he gets to share, like, some of these firsts with him, just, like, I don't know, riding on the bike together as a first, things like that, where if it was a boy and a girl, it would very clearly be romance. And the other one can deny that it's romantic, but he keeps letting him get closer. And so at one point, he asks him, "Do you like boys?" Once he found out that he jerked off to his photo, he's like, "Do you like boys?" And Hira says, "I don't know." And you can see that the love interest gets a little annoyed. And that was the first time I thought, oh, he definitely likes boys. And he was asking him outright if he was also gay. And when he said, "I don't know," it was frustrating because he so badly wants Hira to just kind of come out and say what he's feeling. But Hira can't say it. He keeps saying you know, "You're so beautiful. And you're so beautiful. I like being around you, whatever. I like you." He says, "I don't know if I like boys. Have never liked anyone but you. I don't like girls. I don't like guys. You're the only one I find beautiful." So he very clearly is putting Joy up on this pedestal. And you would think somebody who wants to be popular and wants to be an idol would like being on that pedestal, but he starts to lash out at this kid every time he treats him kind of other than, every time he treats him like he's in this other class or like he's a god. He'll like lash out and push or kick or hurt this kid. And obviously, he doesn't know why he's doing that. He just accepts it as like the punishment for being a peasant, is that sometimes you're someone is mean to you. But really, I do think that was Kyo trying to get him. He keeps saying, "Stop apologizing. Stop treating me like I'm so much better than you." Because clearly he's already developed these feelings. So he does his idol competition in high school. All of the girls are obsessed with him. Everyone is rooting for him, and he loses in front of everyone. He doesn't win first place. He doesn't win the competition. And
Pause. Sorry.
okay, do you need water?
No.
So he loses the competition and he kind of loses his popularity. And when they go to this after party at a diner, that's when we first see Hira, that all of that resentment, all of that pressure and feelings he hasn't been able to communicate. He's so quiet, he's so shy. When he sees the other guys like kind of laughing at him for laughing at his idol who he loves so much, when they start laughing at him for losing the competition, he has this mental breakdown. And explain this scene, Wolfgang.
Oh, you want me to?
Yeah.
It's a little bit stalkery where he has visions, grandiose visions of him shooting up the friend group with a assault rifle in the diner, and instead of it being bloody, it's graffiti.
Or confetti.
All right, yeah, confetti, but I mean it's very detailed and it's very
Scary. It's like
yeah,
intense.
it's a very interesting thing. I would love to see it
Manga.
in the manga or do you see a manhwa?
It's a manga.
It's
It's
a manga.
aged
I
all
would love to
Japanese.
see in the manga what that was, or if that was even added, because that seems personally that was like really out of left field. Like it was like,
Well,
whoa, that's like really interesting because we have a happy story, and then this guy gets so upset, and there's different scenes where this individual Hira gets upset trying to defend this guy, and it's just an interesting scene.
so that's where I would say like that kind of, what did we
It
decide
comes
that
up
one was?
multiple times. It's not just one time.
The yandere, the character who's like initially sweet, like he's initially sweet at the beginning of the story. And when you see this rage inside him, this like desire to protect his obsession, the object is of his affection is this man, Kyo. And when anybody laughs at him or doesn't respect him in the same way, he becomes so aggressive and psychotic. And it's actually really cute. And this character, like Wolf said, they ugly him down a lot, but I, anyways, loved when he went all psycho. And so there's another moment later on when this hierarchy of popularity has fallen, and we see the boys who were teasing the popular kid start to be more popular than him and start to try to bully the popular kid. And he kind of takes it because he's cool. He doesn't really lash out. And at one point, they pour a bunch of tomato juice on his head. And as he's walking up the stairs, the guy who's dethroned him in the popular scene, he starts to grab him by the collar and rough him up a bit. Our main love interest, Kyo, and when Hira sees this on the stairwell, he goes, his vision goes black. You see him walk up the stairs, and then we don't see what happens at all until later on in a flashback. But all you can assume is that he
Yeah.
fucked this guy up, and
And this
he,
was like later on in college.
yeah,
You understand what happens,
you
and it
understand
just
what
goes
really happened.
completely black.
It goes completely black, like his rage is just taken over, and then you wake up and he's being talked to by a teacher, and a teacher says, "I know you're trying to defend your other friend, so I'm going to let you off the hook, but that was crazy, buddy, like calm down a little bit." So after that, they end up graduating. I think that's kind of the extent of the important stuff happening in high school. They go to graduate, and our cute love interest Kyo, who is a bit of a dick, he has gotten picked up by a modeling agency. So everyone is getting their yearbook signed, and they want him to see their graduating yearbook because they think he's going to be really famous in the next few years. So everyone's crowding around him, and the drama of him losing the idol competition has kind of gone away, and people are back to being his fan and his supporter. And he has all these people crowding him. And here it doesn't really get a chance to go get his autograph on his yearbook or anything. And so the popular kid leaves. He says, "I'm headed out," knowing that Hira will follow him. And Hira does follow him back behind the school. And Hira goes to admit his feelings at the same time that Kyo goes to admit his feelings. And neither of them really get the words out. And they're not able to communicate effectively at all.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Oh, they kiss. Right.
who kisses who?
Kyo kisses Hero.
Yep.
So Bully kisses the main character.
Yep. And so we have that moment of confusion on our main character's face. He doesn't know why he's done this, and he doesn't respond. I think he's definitely autistic, and anybody who watches the show can like talk to me about if they also agree, but at least this actor I felt like was portraying him in a way that was neurodivergent. And when he gets kissed, he never thought that would be a possibility. So he doesn't really react well. And the other character pushes him down and his phone drops in the water puddle. The popular character, after kissing him and pushing him to the floor, says, "I'll see you around." And his phone is broken. And instead of getting his phone fixed, he gets a brand new number because he
Yeah,
thought
he changes his number.
he thought this was like an act of pity. In this moment where he's like pushed down after he's kissed, he doesn't know what to think. And the other character feels really rejected because he kissed this guy who's obsessed with him. Everyone else is back to being obsessed with him. And this guy followed him back to the back of the school. He thought he would have his affection returned from the person who has admired him all year. And instead, it's this really awkward, awful separation of the two. And they go their opposite ways. One of them changes his phone number and finally takes it to heart that he's an annoying creep and he doesn't want to bother this person who he really respects. So he gets a new phone number. He accepts that kiss as like an act of pity and a final goodbye. And then we flash forward like 3 or 4 years into their college years. And we're still with Hira, and we're in Hira's perspective for like the first 5 episodes, the guy with the stutter. And he gets to college, and we see that he already has a friend, and they're walking around taking each other's photos. And somebody really admires Hira now and
Mm.
is taking his picture, thinks
Well,
he's beautiful.
they meet like at a photography, or no, they meet randomly taking photos, go to a photography club. He tries to introduce himself. He stutters again, just like in high school, introducing himself. The guy kind of puts his hand on his back and is like, "Hey, it's okay." And then he's able to say his name, and it's a really nice supporting moment. And then the guy says, "My it's okay. My brother was just like you. He had a hard time speaking as well." And it's a very, as someone who enjoys heartfelt moments, it's a very nice moment.
That was so sweet. And then did you immediately fall in love with that couple and that ship instead of the first couple and the first ship?
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that that guy was a better choice, but that's just me because he's a very supporting individual, and why wouldn't she want a supportive individual?
And so this is where I felt like Wolfgang was suffering from second love interest syndrome, which is, like I told you, where you have the first character who needs to go through a redemption arc and they bring in a secondary love interest to try to make that first love interest jealous and realize how someone else will treat the main character well if he doesn't step up his game. So this
Mm.
is something that a lot of us feel every time a second love interest is brought into the picture, especially like in a love triangle situation. Sometimes the second love interest is like the better fit, and you are so mad at how the first love interest treated this main character that you are like, no, that we're completely standing for the second love interest. So Wolfgang, I have like a video of him where he's just yelling from the background. He's a good man. He's like so mad that the second love interest is introduced and then doesn't get his happily ever after in this story. So we're in college. This
I mean, that's just it's just not. You
fair.
know, it's believable, but it's not believable because this guy treated him so much nicer. And like Courtney will talk about more scenes in a second, but it's he treated him so much nicer, and you're just like, that's why would you give up this really really nice boy who thought you were cute instead of you finding him cute, and like actually loved you for who you are.
Now I'll
For
ask you as somebody who married a bitch.
It's not true
There's so many girls out there who are so nice and would be so, so, so nice to you. Why did you pick a mean girl like me?
because I'm too nice. It's
Because you're exactly where you want to
you
be. You're like,
you can't you can't have two nice people be together. It's just that would just we wouldn't get anywhere. We'd still be in the airport in Paris trying. I'd be trying to have you ask you to marry me. We would be stuck there
that's a funny story. Wolfgang, we went to Paris and we knew we were going to get engaged. We've been like trying to save up for a ring for a long time. And I had found a receipt for a ring. So I thought he was going to propose to me on this trip. 10 days. We're 10 days in. And like day 8, it still hadn't happened. And I was like, I don't know if you have a ring or if you don't have a ring. But I'll say this, you might not want to wait until we're back in the airport flying home. But he's so nervous and so nice. Sometimes, like, some men just need like that authoritative bossy, bratty
no,
person to get their life rolling. And this character is too nice from Photography Club. He's way too nice. And he does help build the confidence of our main character, Hira, but they aren't a match. You know that.
yeah.
They wouldn't work. They're both too sweet. And also,
Well, they had some very nice moments. They were cooking.
hot pot.
Yeah, a little hot pot, and I mean,
It was very cute.
photography club. I think they would have worked. But
And
that's a different opinion.
there's lots of girls who would have been very nice to you, who aren't sassy, who aren't bratty, who don't have those personality tropes, and you wouldn't be happy. You would be bored to death.
Well, yeah,
You need someone like who's a little drama, who has that like spark. Wolfgang is a Pisces and I'm a Leo. And one time our compatibility on like a website said Pisces and Leos are like fire and water. You will dampen her fire. She will
boil.
boil your water. But sometimes, if it's just right, you'll create steam. And I definitely think that's true here is that we have Choi who is fire and we have Hira who is water. And when they're together, it's very steamy. But we have to be careful that one doesn't hurt the other. And so, these other two characters, it'd be like water and water. It's just all wet. It's like a wet blanket. Okay. So it wouldn't be that fun. So when they meet in this photography club, they start to become good friends. Obviously, one is falling in love with the other. And still, Hira is not able to move on from this man that he first loved. And he has a box full of photographs of him, and his friend starts to realize, okay, have you ever found someone cute before, trying to like get a hint if you might like him back?
And then they see a commercial with,
With Joy in it.
and that's kind of like because like they're hanging out, they're doing their own thing. This guy has told him like, "Hey, I find you attractive. Would you like to go out next Saturday?"
It's my
So
birthday.
they're starting to be a thing, and then this commercial comes out, and it's Kioi who always wanted to be in the TV, like you said, and
His dreams have apparently come true.
yeah, and the guy. That's weird. You're paying attention to this individual, like you don't pay attention to anybody.
And he says, yeah, there was one person I found really beautiful back in high school, and this friend of his is starting to put together the dots that if there's only one person he's ever found beautiful and he's staring at the TV like that, and then he does also find some pictures of this guy who's like, oh, you're in love. Maybe you have feelings for that actor that people are excited about, Kyoy. And also, he thinks in his head, my brother has just hired him as an actor at his stage, at his theater company. And it's actually a theater company which takes place inside a restaurant. So it's like dinner and a show. So he asked him to come out for his birthday, knowing that they're going to run into this actor. And they go to the show. And it's this big dramatic reveal where we see years later that Kyoy is as handsome as ever. He takes off his hat and enters the stage, and he locks eyes with Hira. And that's their reuniting and the second chance for this romance to begin. And from there, after the show, he sees him and invites him to the after party. Our other love interest, whose name is Koyama, he is the photography club boyfriend. Basically, Hira says, I can't come to your after party because we already have plans. It's his birthday. And they leave together. And this is the first time that Kyoy has ever been rejected by Hira, other than that kiss that didn't go well, which was kind of his fault because he pushed the kid down. So this is the first time he's asked for this guy's attention and affection and admiration. And he has kind of walked the other way. And now he's seeing what he might be able to lose this forever if he doesn't make a move now. At this point, we have this sequence where there is a love triangle, and our photography club boyfriend is definitely trying to get the attention of Hira and seeing that now that he's introduced him back to Kyoy, it's never going to happen. And Kyoy is, we learn, also orchestrating these meetings where he continuously is kind of sure that Hira knows he's invited back to the after party and that Hira sees him and is paying attention to him. He's definitely needing Hira's validation, even though everyone else in the theater is looking at him. He only wants one person to look at him, and that's Hira. And Hira at this after party does see Kyoy have another guy like touch him on the thigh, and that guy is another actor, and he's also kind of trying to see if there's something going on between these two. And he says, you're paying a lot of attention to that nerd over there at that table. And he's kind of handsome, isn't he? And Kyoy asks, is he handsome? Do other people think he's handsome? Like, is he actually really handsome? And everyone around him is like, yeah, that guy over there, he is quite handsome. And so it's also that perspective change where you go from high school with this hierarchy where everyone is a nerd and everyone is popular and that distinction between the two. But out in the real world, Hira definitely has grown into himself and is, he has a lot he's bringing to the table, and Troy is starting to see this. So they both get drunk at that after party, and he is Kyoe goes outside, Hira goes outside, they're both drunk, and they go walk to that park that they used, it looks like the same park that they used to hang out in high school. So they go to the park, and Kyoe asks him, "Is that your boyfriend who you're hanging out with all the time, the director's brother? Is that your boyfriend?" And he says, "No, no, no, he's not my boyfriend now, like yet." And he says, "So there's a chance you would let him be your boyfriend." And he's like, "No, Kyoe, I obviously, if I had any shot with you, you're the only one I would want to be with." And
It's very awkward.
it's very awkward, and Kyoe doesn't get the answer he wants. And the answer he wants is that I couldn't love anyone other than you.
No.
And Hira is trying to get that out. Those are the words he wants to say, but he can't say it.
Well, he has a nice boy. He has a nice boyfriend.
And he also just he knows he's going to get rejected in his heart, even though this other guy does have feelings for him. He just cannot believe that anyone would really love him. And so Kyoy gets upset. He kicks him in the shin. And Wolfgang was so annoyed at this. He's like, that shin, he literally fell to the ground. And Wolf was like, "Are you joking? This is the most dramatic thing I've ever seen go on between two men." He was lightly kicked in the shin, and now he's on the ground in tears.
Oh yeah, no, it's very dramatic. It's like it's a flesh wound, and then then the guy is able to like run. They're on like a small bridge. He kicks him in the shin, and the guy like is completely disabled. And you're just like, okay, that's not
Yes. And so then
be some semblance of a man. Like,
and at this point, we see that Hira is starting to accept that maybe Kyoy does want something from him.
hmm?
And he knows that this other guy also wants something from him. So the next day, they're
Well,
hanging
I
out.
think he says on the bridge like, "Who do you love near him?"
He well, and I think Kira does respond back like, "Oh, always like it's always you," and like, you're my king. And he keeps saying things like that that piss off
Yeah.
Kyoy, and Kyoy can't tell him why it makes him so mad. But he doesn't want to be a king. He wants them both to be villagers who are in love. And he wants to stop being treated like this perfect thing that's idolized. And he even tells him at some point, "You can keep chasing the ideal of me, but the real me is right here, and you've never asked me once how I feel or what's going on with me. You just assume that I'm some famous idol or I'm some popular kid who has no problems and no feelings. And that's very selfish of you that you continue to idolize me and not see me as a real person." So he's mad. And he does go to apologize to Hira, and when he does, he walks in on this moment where Koyama, the photography boyfriend, is confessing his feelings for Hira, and Hira is rejecting him all the way. He's seen this box full of photographs of this other guy, and Hira sleeps with a photo of him tucked into the covers next to him. He does not love this other guy. He honestly never even really led him on. He never really said anything to give him feelings, but this guy's fallen in love with him anyways because he's adorable. So he confesses his feelings. Hira says, "I love Kyoy. Can't tell you why." He says, "He's so mean to you. He called you a creep." And he says, "He's always called me a creep. I don't mind it. You don't get it because you don't get us. But that's our inside joke. And I like it when he calls me
You
that.
don't. I
He's,
like that.
but I'm exactly where I want to be." And Koyama, he sees the door is opening and that it's Kyoy, and he hugs Hira and won't let him go and won't let him reject him. And he gets so mad. Kyoy sees this in the doorway and thinks that Hira is in love with this other guy. He runs away. Hira is furious and pushes this guy and runs to the man he loves and says, "Please don't go. It's not what you think." And of course, this is another miscommunication, which leads to like weeks of fighting, and they don't talk to each other. And Hira is reaching out, calling and calling and calling to apologize. "I'm so sorry. It's not what it looks like. You know that you're the one for me. Please give me a chance." And he calls him one last time and says, "Hey, this is the last time I'm going to call you. If you have any feelings for me the way I have feelings for you, you will come to the high school and we are going to like meet in the spot where you first saved me." And I guess I forgot there was a scene before this where the second love interest basically is asked to work on set with Kyoy, and Kyoy has been struggling with saying "I love you" and in a believable way when he's acting.
Well, the brother who owns the diner that they do the acting at, he asks his brother, "Hey, I need your help. One of my guys has fallen off." And the ex-boyfriend, goes and knows that Kyo is there, goes to the basement where Kyo is at, and kind of tells him like, "Hey,
Yeah,
Hira has feelings for you," and Kyo, thank you. Kyo is kind of confused, and he's like, "Why would you do this?" And this is why I like this other guy, because the other guy
He's
says,
so selfless.
no, he says, I would do this for someone that I love. And the person I love obviously isn't reciprocating the love for me, but he's reciprocating the love for you.
And I want to see
And
him
and
happy.
he wants to see him happy. And it's a very nice thing to say.
It's very nice. And so instead of running the spotlight, he has Hira run the spotlight. Hira is, up there on stage, and he says, I wish I could always shine a light on Kyo. This is where I
Mm.
belong in the world, is shining a light on this man that I think is so beautiful. So after that, he kind of has the permission of the second love interest, that he's going to step out of the way. And they have this moment down in the basement putting away boxes where Joy tries to confront, because he said on stage, I love you, while he was looking at this spotlight that Hira was running. And he realizes that he's only able to say that believably when he's looking at one man. And he's ready to kind of accept these feelings. And so they're down in this set room below, and he asks Hira, they have this intense moment, and a bunch of boxes get knocked over and they fall on top of each other. And Kyo has a cut on his finger and it's bleeding. And Hira puts the finger in his mouth. Wolf hated this, but it was so hot, you
No, I'm
guys.
just laughing at intense moment. The
It was so
boxes falling
oh,
is intense.
it was intense. They could have got hurt. So he cuts his finger. He has this intense moment where he like sucks the blood off of his finger. And Kyo asks him, do
I'm
you want to hook up?
I'm a blood phobe, so this is not.
He doesn't like this, but I have a blood kink, so I did like it. And I thought to myself, this is so hot, this is so cute. And so did Kyo. Kyo goes, do you want to hook up? Do you kind of want to fuck me? And that's when I was like, oh my God, Wolf, I thought the bully was going to be the top, but the bully's the bottom. I didn't even see this coming. And it made me want to buy the manga right away, because I like this dynamic where the bottom is super sassy and mean and aggressive. And that's what we get here. So he says, do you want to hook up? Like, you're sucking on my finger. Do you want to fuck me? And he says, I would never try to fuck you. You're a king. I'm a peasant. I wouldn't touch you like that. I'm so sorry. And he gets pissed. He's like, you don't understand. I want you to fuck me. And the fact that you wouldn't do that with me because you think I'm so much better than you is annoying. I want to be on the same level. I want to have this like physical intimacy and pleasure, and you keep putting me up on a pedestal. So we have this gap between us that I can't bridge. So that's when they have this like huge falling out. And then, like I said, a couple weeks later, Hira calls him and says, if you have any feelings for me, like you were saying down in the basement, I realize what I did wrong by idolizing you, and I want to meet at the high school where you first saved me. So he goes back and he sits on that desk where he was first stuttering, introducing himself, and he waits, and the guy never comes. And so he walks to another classroom and he kind of reenacts this.
One of these scenes that's in the beginning high school arc
Yeah,
where he's kind of laying on a,
on a
like,
locker,
yeah,
on this
yeah.
low locker.
It's like window level.
And he, instead of Kyo laying on those lockers, he goes and he lays there like Kyo was back in high school. But then he hears a noise and he opens his eyes, and Kyo is over in the doorway, and he has come, and he starts to run away right away. He's so scared because this is finally happening. He sees that Hira has Hira has, regardless of his like maybe neurodivergency, finally picked up on the hint that this is the real deal. And if he doesn't act and treat this like a real romantic relationship, and he keeps acting like it's a stalker idol romance, it's not going to work. So, and he sees that Hira is ready to take this to the next level, and he gets scared and he starts running around the school. Kyo does, and it's so cute to me. And they have this whole chasing sequence where they're running after each other, and Hira, it's that thing again where we see this flip switch in Hero where he's not sweet and innocent anymore. And we forgot to talk about that flashback, but in that flashback on the stairwell in high school where he beat that kid up, he went absolutely red in the eyes, berserk, like he was going
Like a K-pop fan.
like a K-pop fan. It,
Which
he
is, are they Japanese or Korean?
No, they're Korean or they're
They're
Japanese,
Jap.
but there's J-pop
So
fans.
it's like a J-pop fan that's obsessed.
Yes.
It was a funny moment.
Or an idol. They say, and he said, Kyo is thinking back about that moment, and he's like, something flipped in his eyes, and he went crazy, like he would have killed for me.
Yeah.
And in this moment, the same thing happens where he realizes he can have the man, the object of his desire, and a flip switches in his head, and he thinks, I'm not letting you go. I'm going to run after you. once he catches him, he says, "Let me go." And he says, "I won't let you go. I'm going to hold on to you. There's nothing at this point, now that you've told me I can have you and you've given me permission to come after you, nothing could get me to go away." And it's very spicy. Like, this is the point where the nerd becomes like irresistible to me, is when
Am I the nerd?
you are the nerd. And I love that. And there's always these moments where I'll like be teasing Wolfgang, and when he finally decides that like the teasing's done and like it's on, it's so hot to have a man chase after you and catch you. And like that is exactly what Hero does here. And I thought it was really cute and really hot. And so they finally kiss in the high school. They go back to his house, and Wolfgang was just like, they shouldn't be allowed in this high school after hours. Nobody would let them in there, right? And I'm
Yeah,
like,
it's a little weird. I mean, I'm not going to
it's
question.
not even the first time I've seen this happen
I'm
in a
not.
BL.
I'm not
So,
going to question the validity of the story when it comes to placing them in the high school. But like, it's the middle of the night
and it is
in
cute
a
too.
high school. They don't know the janitor. At least we don't know that.
But it is cute that
Sure. Yeah.
they
It's
have,
the place where they met.
yes, a second chance romance, and we get to revisit that moment and kind of recreate it. So they almost get to pretend like they were together in high school because they had that like kiss in that classroom, and it almost overwrites the hardship of the past. So there's this trope in romance called hurt comfort, where you hurt somebody, you kick them in the shin, and then you kiss their shin. And this is kind of like a full circle moment where he has been hurt in the school by
That's
this guy before.
you mean
And
that's abuse though. If
yes,
you kick,
baby.
okay.
That's why people say it's a red flag. Or toxic
That's
romance.
I was like, what did you call that?
Hurt comfort.
So does abuse.
Honey,
Kiss them and then,
it's not
or
abuse. You're not listening.
kick them and then act like everything's okay.
You're not understanding, but this is a trope that a lot of people love. And if you think about most of the women you know and the guys they date,
Yeah,
did the guy ever hurt them and
yeah, but
then
that's
comfort
not.
them?
Yeah, but that's not okay.
Of course it's not. But when we're writing romance, oftentimes we're writing our own stories and we're trying to put a romantic spin on it so that we have something to kind of hold close. It's called romanticization. So that a lot of people say, "Oh, that's talk. You shouldn't do that. That's talk." Blah blah. No, real life is real life and fiction is fiction. Like in real life, you should find a healthy relationship. In fiction, if you like to rewrite those kinds of situations and have the guy in the end, instead of kick you and walk away and call you a bitch and never call you again, if you want to have him kick you and then kiss it better and call you an angel, if that's a happier sugar coating for you on that situation and that does give you some kind of romance or some kind of joy, in fiction you're allowed to have it. And honestly, I don't mind those tropes. Sometimes I like them, and that's okay.
Friendly advice. Nerds don't do that.
Some nerds do. You've Full transparency, we are not in a perfect relationship, and there's been moments where you've hurt me and then you came back and comforted me, and that's where these kind of tropes come from. I do think is like real life romance, where we want to forgive a man, we want him to have redemption because we know nobody's perfect, and these characters are not perfect, and they're giving each other a second chance. And it's not just like the nerd was never in the wrong. The nerd has been in the wrong. He has done things that are creepy. Jerking off to this guy's photo is inappropriate, and a lot of people would say it's toxic and a red flag behavior. He took permission to do that.
It's his private time.
He took that photo and then jerked off to it without the other guy's permission. That's not okay.
It's creepy.
So
But it's
we
not the
know
first.
which
It's not the
character
first time
you
in
are.
history this has happened.
That's exactly right,
This is
Wolfgang.
his private time. It's his camera. It's
Wolfgang,
weird. I mean, it is weird.
you can admit that both characters are a little toxic in their own ways.
Sure, absolutely.
Yes. And most relationships, people can be toxic on both sides. And I hate when people argue that romance is supposed to be realistic. No, it's not. You want to be realistic? Go be in a real life relationship. If you want romance, read a romance novel. And oftentimes you're going to take two imperfect people and you're going to sprinkle that all in sugar and spice and everything nice and naughty and spicy. And like, in the end, it's not realistic. It's not idealistic. It's just a story. And I like in a story when a boy is mean and then a boy learns to be nice. It's a redemption arc. And in real life, oftentimes boys never learn to be nice. They're just the mean part. So it's not any worse than real life.
Most dudes are jerks.
Most dudes are jerks. So they go back to their house and we get sex. And it's really crazy because, like, mostly in Japanese stories, especially Korean stories, especially, I hear Thai BLs are way naughtier and you get a lot more action. But a lot of times you barely even get a kiss in these shows. And we do get a kiss at the beginning at that graduation, but you can see it's like on the side of the mouth. Like the actors aren't even really
Yeah,
kissing.
and he kind of does like some weird.
But this end scene, we get some real kissing, and then we get them laying shirtless on their futon together. And it's very clear they've had sex. It's very clear that one is like the big spoon and holding the other. They look beautiful in the sunlight together. Did you feel like that moment was like spicy and intimate and like a good way to end the scene or
Yeah,
end the
no,
show?
I mean, yeah, the next, it was like the second to last scene, I thought, because the last scene is them on the bike. But yeah, no, it's nice. I mean, like I said, it ends happily, and that's the way love is. It's like it ends in a very, it's not the way love always is.
That's what you want.
That's what you want,
Is
and
a
that's,
happily ever
yeah,
after.
and they end up falling in love, and yeah, it's really nice scene.
It's very sweet. And then, like you said, after that scene, we do get a shot of them on
And the
their bikes.
bonus, they have a free house to themselves.
Yes, they've got that house again, and it's the same house from high school, I think.
It
And
is, yeah.
it's very cute that
His
again,
parents still have not come back from high school. Questionable on the parents.
the same with fruits baskets and so many like in these shows.
We
Oftentimes,
didn't even meet Kyoi's parents, so who knows?
and we do learn that his backstory is that he was a lonely child because his parents remarried. So both of
Oh
them
yeah.
feel a bit alone in the world. And we do get that cute scene where they're on the bike together at the end. And it's so cute because he says, "You're so beautiful." And he goes, "Stop that." And he whacks him on the head and he goes, "Okay, okay. The words I can't say are back in my pocket." So we still have this dynamic where Kyo is getting annoyed with how much attention Hira pays to him, or he likes to act annoyed. Of course, he doesn't want the attention to go away. But then Hira really loves this inside joke of Joy calling him creepy. And so on the last scene, say it again. And he goes, "Okay, you're creepy." And that's where the little bit of masochism comes, where he actually really does like being teased by this other character because unlike the rest of the world who teases him for his stutter, Joy teases him because he knows him so well. And because when he first took that photo of Kyo, he said, "I've never been able to look at somebody so directly in the eyes." And then he says, "I
Mm.
think you're beautiful." And he goes, "You can't just say that to another man." And he said, "I don't think I can help it. I've never been able to say my feelings to another person at all. But with you, it's coming right out. I think you're beautiful. I love you. These things come right out of my mouth and I can't help them." And so at the end of the story, he asked him to call him creepy because it's a reference to this fact that he is creepy, and he only knows that he's creepy because he's been able to be his self around him, which involves acting like a stalker. And I just think
Well,
that
he's creepily in love with
yes, and you're very creepily in love with me, and I just find it like I find
him.
that really cute. Like even when really ugly, Wolfgang has these pictures of me, like his featured photos, where I like was either at a point in my life where I felt really chubby or ugly or fat or like didn't shower that day, and he has like this one where I'm doing like the straws up my nose.
Mhm.
I just look so ugly, and it's one of his favorites, and it's that thing where when somebody loves you, they love you inside and out. And Wolfgang loves me when I'm ugly, thinks I'm beautiful. He kind of idolizes me in a way.
You're acting silly, and I like it when you're having fun. You're just being you.
And
It's okay.
I like might call you a nerd or creepy or whatever, a stalker when you're acting like that. And it's my way of acknowledging that like I know how deeply your crazy affection for me runs. And
Hmm.
like even if other people might be like, "Oh, Courtney, be nice to him. He's just flirting with you." I'm like, he's not flirting with me. He is a menace to society. And if we get behind closed doors, he's gonna chase after me. So like
Oh yeah.
if I call him creepy or I call him a nerd, it's like it's referencing this vast knowledge I have of the person I love. And so a lot of people might be like, "That's toxic. That's toxic." That's an inside joke. And if you've never had an inside joke and you've never had a friend you've had an inside joke with or that you could razz, then I feel bad for you, I guess. So like maybe don't be so hard and weird about these kinds of tropes because I find them realistic. I find it realistic to tease each other. And I do find it realistic. We met when we were 18 and 20. He just turned 20. So we're a year and a half apart. And our humor when we were younger was a lot more sharp and a lot there was times where we teased each other in a way that hurt each other's feelings. And we did slowly like learn what's off limits and what's not off limits. And like some of those jokes became jokes forever. And some of those jokes we stopped using. And I do think this is like a good representation of young love and how sometimes you don't get it right on the first time. Sometimes you are shitty.
It takes a lot of work.
Like, this is so mean, but when we first met, I like thought I was being funny because I just like my family always teased each other, and I was like, "Oh, Wolf, you have cankles," and I just was like, I didn't know how to flirt with him, and so I said that,
I used to have weight issues.
and I didn't realize that, and so it was like,
I got a lot skinnier in college when we met. but I used to have weight issues
He was so hot.
from when I was a young man to high school. I am now 180 pounds, but I used to be 280 pounds. So I lost 100 pounds
And
between
I
high school and college. But
uh,
I had huge weight issues.
and I've always been like kind of like the bitchy mean girl, and that's
But you didn't say it like meanly. I just took offense. I just got overly sensitive because I was. It's not.
but it's one
It's
of
not
those
nice.
but it's one of those things where like I was coping with my own, like I was really poor,
Yeah.
and like I just was coping. I was like trying to cover my own insecurities by like pointing out somebody else's, and like that was just a humor as a young person that I had been using as a coping mechanism. And I would say if you met us back then, you might say this is like a toxic relationship. He's so nice, she's so mean. And really it was two young people trying to figure out who they were and figure out what it means to love another person and treat them well when you don't know what that looks like. And I definitely didn't know what that looks like. I'd never had any good representation of in a relationship. I'd only had awful representations of people in
I
relationships.
had completely forgot about this moment.
That of me saying something mean to you.
No,
So
the cankle. I had completely forgot about this up
I
until
shouldn't have
then.
brought it up.
It's okay.
But like it's one of those things where I think you have to have some forgiveness. And like when
Yeah.
especially with young love, you cannot expect people to get away.
Mm.
And these high schoolers are in this popularity pyramid and this hierarchy that they're trying to figure out. Certainly I was in this position where like I was trying to be like sassy cute mean girl, and like I was trying to make sure that you knew you
You
weren't.
nailed it.
I was like, he was rich and we were in his like big, beautiful mansion. And I was like, trying to bring him down to my level somehow. And I didn't realize that that's just like toxic. And I, in a lot of ways, can relate to the toxic, mean boy character in this story. And I see my husband a lot in the like stuttering nerd character. And in the end, they kind of flip positions where the stuttering nerd character is almost the hotter commodity. And the very confident actor character who I related to, he's kind of acting in a cafe and his career isn't really working out. And he for all that confidence, a lot of it was just put on, and a lot of the meanness towards the guy he liked in high school, having him go for errands and stuff like that, was trying to keep this guy in check in a way so that he never left him, even if he found out one day that his confidence was a little bit fake, or if he didn't make it as a star. Like, if he could keep this guy as a servant a little bit, then even if he didn't make it as a big famous idol one day, this guy would still care about him.
Mm.
And they both have to let go of those coping mechanisms in order to truly love each other. And when he says to him in the end, I'm not a king, I'm just an ordinary man, and I want to be loved like an ordinary man.
Mm-hmm.
And they're both finally on each other's level. It does feel like they've worked through all of the immaturity and they've helped each other grow, even though for a while they had to take separate paths. They've helped each other grow into real men. And now they can really love each other without fucking it up. And that's where we end, is like in their happily ever after. And then we wondered, how's there a season two? Where does this go from here? What are your predictions for season two?
I don't know. I mean, either it's gonna be the. I mean, I'm not sure. There's so many directions you could take this show.
Yes, so I have already bought the manga because I want to know what's going to happen with all of the
That
characters.
was quick.
It was immediate. As soon as we got done with the show, I bought 4 manga because there's 4.
Did you just order offline?
So yeah, I ordered on Barnes and Nobles. This is adapted from a light novel. I don't own any light novels. I find it to be a weird mixture, and maybe if I read one, I would really like it. But it's basically like mostly.
Don't knock it till you try it.
Have you ever read a light novel?
Yeah.
So there.
One Piece has a bunch of light
Okay.
novels.
So there's the light novels from this, and there's 4 manga, then there's a spin-off manga that's a side couple. So I'm guessing that the second season is a side couples, and that's going to be Koyama, the second love interest. I'm guessing he gets somebody who finally does return his affections, which I'd really like to see because he's a good guy.
Yeah.
He's a good guy. So I think that's what's going to happen in the second season. I also think that our main
Or maybe it'll be Hira becoming more confident in himself, and then you have an entire season where it's like them just being, instead of, maybe it flips. Maybe Hira's sassy.
Yeah, and I do. It looks like there's some conflict in the like preview shots on the second season, as far as like
Well, that's
the
cheating.
episode thumbnail.
That's
I just looked at the episode thumbnail, but I do think that there's going to be some miscommunication, some
Mm.
working through their issues, maybe coming out to the people that they know best. It doesn't look like Kiyoe has talked publicly about being gay as an idol, so that's going to be an issue.
Maybe Hera's parents finally come back and we finally get the good parent arc because they were completely absent for like 10 years.
That's
Quite
hopeful. I doubt that's going to happen because I feel like the parents would never come back in these stories. They're just deadbeats. So I think there will be the second couple. I think there's going to be miscommunication, obviously some resolution. I hope that there's a wedding ring situation. A lot of times in BL manga, we do get a wedding. And if this is adapted from a Japanese BL manga, then we might get like a moment where even if they're not married publicly, they might get to like
Can,
wear suits and exchange rings.
can two men get married in Japan?
It is still illegal, except for in
Hmm.
religious ceremonies, I think is what I understand.
That's weird.
And
Interesting.
they also have some very odd trans laws.
In
And so
2025, they still do this?
2026.
2026?
Yes. And so
Interesting.
there's a manga called
Hmm.
How I Met My Husband, and it's one of my favorite. It is based off of a novel that an activist in Japan wrote about fighting for his right to spiritually marry his husband, like basically in a church. And that is legalized, and
That
they're
sounds
the
really
first
interesting.
couple. It's so good. And
Yeah.
then it gets adapted into a manga so that more people would enjoy it.
Hmm.
And so it's really beautiful. And honestly, it'd probably also make a
I
good
mean, I think even
action.
one of the U.S. church even has somewhat of a problem with that. And it's
US
really
church isn't a thing, but many churches have a problem with it. So this is like the basically what it was saying is Japan recognized spiritual unions. It's still, I don't think, recognized like legally. So they're fighting a lot of homophobia in Japan to this day. And it's very interesting that, of course, BL and yaoi is so popular there, and they continue to not recognize those couples.
May I ask, have they had their big like has and like I'm sorry if I has Japan had their pride movement?
They've had a very large pride movement. There is lots of pride work and LGBTQ activism going on, but again, it's not reached the levels, of course, that it has here. And then when we get to Korea, it's even worse. There's like very, very repressed, very homophobic situations culturally and legally. So
Thank you. I never knew that.
so like when you see Yuri on Ice, when you see them exchange rings in Barcelona, you might question to yourself, oh, why aren't they getting married in Russia? Why aren't they getting married in Japan?
Oh, Russia, I know why.
Obviously,
Yeah.
and it's the same with Japan. So it's not coincidental to me that in Yuri
Gotcha.
on Ice, they do exchange rings at the end in Barcelona on those steps. And then everybody's asking them at that shop, like, oh, are you guys engaged? You got rings.
This tracks 100%.
Because that's a safe place to do that and to celebrate a little bit and be able to tell people a little bit, because back home in Japan, back home in Russia, obviously wouldn't be a safe place to even celebrate that kind of moment or even maybe show that gesture of exchanging rings. So in a lot of BL, that is the kind of fantasy at the end, is that people can live happy. And obviously it's really nice that we have like Omegaverse, because in that situation, it's not unrealistic in a world where everybody is male and there's Omegas and Alphas. Even if it looks like Japan, we can assume that they're allowed to get married in those worlds, and we get the marriage at the end, we get the babies at the end. But in manga, oftentimes, because it's set in the real world of Japan, they don't even get married. They just exchange rings and are wearing suits, and they have like private moment, private ceremony. So I do hope that we get this in this story. It would be really nice for me if we did get it. I feel like these two are obviously high school sweethearts and each other's one and only. They're each other's first kiss. And I do think they belong together in a married way. And obviously we believe in not the sanctity. We believe that, marriage is a really fun next step to a relationship. So they don't need to get married for it to be a valid relationship. But I think they deserve to be allowed to get married, and that this couple would be a couple.
Do whatever makes you happy. That's really the whole point of life, is do what makes you happy. And if you find someone that makes you happy, why shouldn't you be able to marry them?
Yes, and if you don't believe in marriage, that's fine. But I feel like these two characters would believe in marriage. So I hope that at least in the manga they get married. In the live action, it would be cool if they exchanged rings or did something kind of symbolic like that. So that wraps up our summary and our prediction segment. Who's your delusional boyfriend from this story?
The nice boyfriend he meets in college.
The photography boyfriend?
Yeah, because he's very supportive. That's kind of for me, it's a no-brainer, because the individual, Courtney didn't mention this, but when Hira and the nice boyfriend go to his brother's shop where they do the acting, they meet Kyo, and Kyo comes up and says, "Hey, freak," and like the boyfriend's like literally.
I'm gonna fight.
Well, yeah, no, it's like if someone was to call my wife a freak, like I would literally get in their face and say, "What did you say?" And he does the exact same thing. And like to
Stands
me,
up for him right away.
100%. And to me, that is a
Delusional boyfriend.
sure.
That's a good delusional
That's a
boyfriend.
great delusional boyfriend, but that's a man right there. That's
Yeah.
able to look at someone and say, like, with confidence, like, "Don't ever do that. Don't ever hurt my," and I'm getting aggressive. Don't ever no,
Start shaking the camera. Don't hurt him.
well, no, don't hurt the person who I love. Like, you've crossed a line, and it's really not okay. And to me, that's the way our relationship is. And so I like that moment, and that's where I think I decided that was my delusional boyfriend, as you call it.
Yes, and that I mean, that character is very, very sweet. In fact, when he does finally kind of say, "I want him to be happy, so I'll step out of the way," he tests those waters, and he's seen Kyo call this guy a creep before. So he goes to call the guy a creep to Kyo, and when Kyo reacts the same way, he's like, "Actually, I can call him a creep, but nobody else can."
Yeah.
He says, "You just got mad when I bad talked him, so you must love him too." And he can recognize that love, even though it's not, if he's not familiar with love looking like that, he can recognize it and he can be supportive. And I do think all of that is a great delusional boyfriend. And I think that if he gets his love interest in the next story, you're going to be really happy to see that play out.
And the special shout out to during the entire high school time, they have their friend group, and they keep which this is a very interesting thing that I've actually never thought of, and I love being put in a position where I think about something like this for the first time. But there's a individual, the main character Hira, the friend group keeps trying to push him to
Girl.
this girl who is like the uglier girl. That's not really the case, but she has glasses, and she's made out to be the ugly girl of the group, of the friend girl group. And like a special shout out to her, because like that's really not right. But
Are you
also,
giving her a pity shout out as a delusional girlfriend because
no,
you
it's
feel bad
just
for
no,
her?
I do feel bad. I mean, somewhat, yeah, but also like she's a very nice person. And like in the diner, I mean, like no one, I'm sure you didn't realize this because you were a popular girl,
Nope, she's the
but
only one he didn't kill when he
no,
kills all of
he
them.
didn't kill her. But also, it's the entire frame. There's two tables, and they're sitting back to back like this. And the popular kids are at one table, and then it's the main character and this uglier chick at the other table. And it's never nice to feel like you're the loser, because they're actually not talking to each other here and this girl. They're just facing each other, listening to this popular group. And I unfortunately have been there. And
You cannot pick an honorary delusional boyfriend just because you feel bad for her, but I hear what you're saying, my
well,
love.
I would like to make that clear to the audience that
So you noticed her and she was not unnoticed by
that
you.
I see her.
I love you, baby. Who do you think my delusional boyfriend was from this? Can you guess?
Mm, I mean, is it the main character Kyo?
No, it's not Kyo. It's main character Hira.
Oh, Hero.
It's
Okay.
the photographer. I, by the end of this, was just so sold on him. But the thing about me is, if you are a one woman man, if you are dedicated and fucking loyal, I mean, even when this other photography boyfriend is offering everything that you could want, right? He doesn't give a shit. He only has eyes for one man. And if that man is going to reject him for the rest of his life, then he will never be with anyone else ever again. And the other thing I like is like acts of service. And when he's a gopher and Kyo is continuously asking him to go get him soda pop or whatever, I think Kyo is testing his loyalty and his love. And I do that all of the time. And I know it's like not nice, it's toxic, but acts of service are my love language. So if I say, like, Wolf, will you get me some water? It's not because I need water. It's because I just want that act of service to validate that he still loves me and that he would still do this thing for me. And I think that Hira is one of those people where like he's not being a gopher because he thinks he has to because he's a loser. He's doing it because he genuinely does want each one of those acts of service to kind of be banked as brownie points with the man he loves. And so he does, and he keeps those little coins as reminders of the nice things that he's done for Kyo. Every coin was a reminder of an act of service that he did for Kyo, that only he could do because Kyo didn't ask anybody else to go get him a soda pop. He wanted a soda pop from this man's hands, and he wanted to, give him a little extra money each time. And it's this kind of transactional thing, and I just think it's really cute that Hira continuously does whatever is asked of him and is very much this like, I will kiss the ground you walk on and worship this person until the day they die. If they tell me to fuck off, I'll fuck off. If they tell me to walk them home, I will walk them home. If they tell me to dump my boyfriend, I will dump my boyfriend. And he's just so dedicated. I absolutely love it. I love that he's good at photography. I feel like that would pay off in a really kinky way with a boyfriend. Like, if you were good at photography, we would have a lot of good photos of me. So I like that. And then I also really like that he sees red and almost murders everybody in the room when he gets protective of his man. Absolutely love it. I think I really do like that. We decided it was the yandere archetyped. I didn't think I did like that, but I do like that. And obviously, like, it represents my husband to me because everyone else has never seen you get mad. But when you do get mad, it's like so scary. He doesn't get mad at me, but like if he, like, for example, like one time a family member of his, like in a public setting, people were being like aggressive and booing this person, and like when you see him come alive and be protective of the people he loves and want to protect them from any hurt from anybody, that is really hot and really sexy. And then to see that transform into a man who can be quiet and gentle and not like be causing a scene. He never does fist fights in bars, he never gets in fights yelling matches with people. My family has a restaurant in the middle of nowhere, and Wolfgang ran the back of the house for a long time, and they called him the kitchen Buddha because everyone else was so hot tempered and Wolfgang was so sweet. And it's like, yeah, you guys might call him a Buddha now, but if you said the wrong thing to me or you grabbed my ass or something,
Oh, you? Yeah, no, I would be very upset.
then you'd be looking at a murderer. So I really think that dynamic is cute, and I thought that he was a great delusional boyfriend. Obviously, this I've not seen a ton of live actions, but Semantic Error is the first live action I watched. It's what made me love live action and want to do it this year for book club. And I would say that's probably my top live action delusional boyfriend. If we're just starting over fresh this year, then I would say this is the number one delusional boyfriend for 2026. How does he rate against other delusional boyfriends? I have a feeling that he might be usurped here pretty soon. I don't think he's going to be my all-time favorite forever, but this story was really cute. Um, I would say like physically, neither of these people are like exactly my type. So it would be easy for a cute actor to swoop in and win my favor. I will say that. I'm a shallow girl, and I know in the next live action that I cover next month.
Oh,
So grab that calendar really quick, and I'll just tell you guys next month. Next month, the BL live action is going to be 10 Things to Do Before I Turn 40, which is a manga, and it's a manga people freaking love. I do think it's pretty wholesome. I think it's a coworker.
it's a hell of a title.
I think it's a coworker situation where he basically has a bucket list of the things he wants to do before he turns 40. And his coworker finds the bucket list and says, I'll help you cross each one of these off the list so that you can like accomplish these little dreams and goals before you get much older. And I think that's really cute. So if you guys want to tune in for that BL live action, that's going to be February's. If you guys are tuning in for our other episodes, Wolfgang is doing a One Piece review with me every single week. Those release on Tuesdays. We're going to do volume 3. Next week, but I guess by the time this episode releases, we'll be on to another one. But if you like listening to Wolfgang's reviews, make sure that you join us for the One Piece episodes. And then if you guys like BL manhwa and BL anime and romance novels, we drop an episode on those each month as well. So thank you so much for listening. If you're not already rating, reviewing, and subscribing on YouTube, please go do that for me. It would be so wonderful if you did. And if you're listening on a podcast app, make sure you turn on auto downloads. So if we ever do bonus content, it's delivered directly to your inbox. It also really helps the podcast to see the different downloads. So if you are able to do that, please turn those on for me. Is there something you're looking at?
No, I was just looking at the schedule. No,
We're trying to wrap it up.
please give my wife a like. I'd appreciate it if you're a fan of me.
If you love Wolfgang, just know he's always happiest when I get what I want. So
That's true.
Go follow us on our socials. We're on TikTok and Instagram, and I'm have a lot of fun, exciting stuff coming up this year. A lot of cool guests. So if you follow us on our socials and you put on your auto downloads and subscribe on YouTube, then when I have cool guests or fun surprises, you'll be the first to be in the loop. Thanks again for listening, and until next time, remember, sometimes the delusion.
Is the solution.
Bye.